What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your channel dedicated to La Vecchia Signora, and that's the HAC. We are the day after Atalanta Juventus 1-1, and we're going to cover it. Yet another draw. They just don't want us to have a victory show, do they? But I got Luca with me today. Luca, how you doing, brother?
I wish I could say I'm doing better, but god damn it. I'm getting sick and tired of the same shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sick, and I'm tired. And you can probably hear my voice. I am, struggling with my throat. Just woke up with a sore throat, probably just from screaming obscenities at draws left, right, and center. Finally caught up to me, everybody. But it's not going to stop the show. We're going to have some fun. We were waiting for Omer. I believe he has made it in. He was just taking a little bit longer with his hair today. So we'll get him on. Here we go.
Hair's important, guys. You all know that.
Got to be in check. Got to be in check. There you go. And
Look,
after all that time spending on his hair, he wears a toque after all. So, Omer, great to see you, brother. How you doing?
Forza Juve, good morning. How are you? Amazing how Luca was like 22 the last time we did a podcast together, and now he's about 28, right? 29, and it's only been like 2 years.
It hasn't been that long.
I don't know the last time I was on with you, Omar. It's actually been at least 2 years, I think.
Yeah. And
I'm so happy for you two to get a sweet ass draw to talk about too now. So let's get into it. All right. So first up, the news. We'll talk about the news. We'll say what's up to everybody in the chat real quick. We got Sashko 1897 in there. Alex P. Ciao Tutti. Juve Cornercast in here. We got Tuna Steaks and the Peacocks got to graze a little before they fly for the day. Talking about why Omer might be late, taking care of the old Peacocks out there. Okay. And our own Skanga. What an amazing streak we are witnessing here, Juventini. A draw streak is the unicorn of streaks. You, my friend, are a unicorn. All right? Yeah. Don't let anybody tell you different. But good morning, everybody. Good morning. Or if it is everybody, we're going to tackle your news headlines real quick. Hey, Kolo Muani arrives today. Done deal. Dry loan. We take the rest of the salary for the remainder of the season. We're going to get into impact he might have with this squad a little bit later. When it comes to Araujo, the deal is off. Might have used Juve to get his extension with Barca, and things might have been differently without the Martinez injury, but that one's off. Rumors now, we're going to go for Tomori and push. We'll tackle that one after the game as well. Then you have Henko. Today, Juve's going to sweeten the pot. With what? I have no idea. But we're going to sweeten the pot. All right. Let's go. Giddy up. Watch out. And then last, certainly not least on the news headlines, Artur. Yeah, the salary's a problem, and it's still held up with Real Betis. And yeah, that's it. Artur. I mean, a bad rash.
What's his name? FFP, right? Fucking Fabio Paratici. That's an unsellable player. Unsellable. That's like down the history of Juve. That has to be like top 3 worst deals ever.
What are the other 2?
Yeah, it's up there.
I don't know. We can discuss it, but this is one of them.
I would have never thought it was going to go that route, like that bad. I would have never guessed it. Would have never guessed it. But you're bang on right with the FFP. I like that. We're going to start using that. Now, Atalanta Juventus. 1-1 draw. The starting lineup, questionable the way they laid it out with McKennie on the left wing. Completely different to what we saw. But starting lineup, Di Gregorio, Savona, Kalulu, Gatti, Cambiaso, Locatelli, Thuram, Yildiz, Koopmeiners, McKennie, Nico. What were your thoughts when you saw it laid out and your initial gut reaction on that lineup? Let's start with Omer, then Luca.
I don't know. I mean, again, the back line is kind of, it is what it is. McKennie is everywhere. I guess that's just part of his game. It's like it doesn't really matter where he's placed on the pitch. His job is to run around from position to position. So You can tell me he played left winger or second striker or left back or whatever yesterday. He was everywhere, didn't have a defined role. Because Cambiaso likes getting into the midfield and being like part of that trio, then it kind of frees up McKennie, what should be Coop Miners. But the guy did a good job, so I can fault him for that. Beyond that, no Conceição. I mean, the bench was very short. Like, the only other option was probably Mbangula in place of McKennie.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I would not have changed anything.
Luca, what was your immediate gut reaction? I don't want to get into what actually happened in the game, just gut reaction on the lineup.
Yeah, sure. I was very adamant that seeing McKennie in there was tactical in some sense. Like, I didn't think from the start that he would play like a true winger. So I wasn't against it. I knew there was reason behind it, and I mean, it's quite kind of hard to keep him out of the starting lineup considering the form he's been in. So gut reaction, I was okay with it. I mean, I didn't really expect much more just from one guy changing from our last lineup. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately you got to see it play out. I thought it kind of went exactly what we called on the pregame show. It was like, what was the game plan going to be? If you were going to try this counter-attacking, you'd want some pace on the outsides. And to be honest, the way it played out, McKennie and Cope Miners kind of rotated at the top anyways. So it actually did make sense because Nico and his pace was used as a winger. And the game plan, I think, was spot on. And I'll give Malta credit because that is exactly what you're playing a team. You kind of haven't found yourselves as Juventus. They could score goals in bunches. They're not afraid to attack. Let them come at you. And then transition, counter them, hit back at them. And it was the right game plan. And I mean, we'll get into it. I think it's a shame because it's a draw, but it was a good performance from Juventus. And that's what's infuriating amongst the position we were in this game that we put ourselves in. But we will tackle it all. First up, credit where it's due. Credit to Atalanta for the warm welcome. Okay, so fantastic stuff. Love to see it. Love to see the banter. Love to see it all. Great little welcome for Cope Miners, okay? And that's how you want to kick things off. All right, so yeah, respect. I like it. We're always here for some banter and some good shit housing and stuff. So you knew that was going to happen. You expected it.
I hope the Juve Ultras do something in return in the match at the Juventus Stadium.
If it keeps going the way it is, it might be take back Coop is what our banner might be. So let's get into the game. First half. 24th minute, Lookman rips one. Good stop from Di Gregorio, pairing it away. And, yeah, kind of a little, not so much a back and forth. The start was pretty slow from Juve. We kind of grew into that first half. But once we did actually look the better of the sides, I thought, in terms of once we kind of woke up and grew out of that first little weather the storm period. But first half, ultimately, not a whole lot for chances, really. Like, a lot of half opportunities here and there, or good sequences that didn't really end up with that end result you want. Because our best, probably closest opportunity is even just a cross in 46 minute that Cope Miners couldn't latch onto on the backside that Carnesecchi had to just dive out to get. But second half, that was better. Much, much better. Right off the bat, 49th minute. Coal Miners, good cross in. Kalulu heads it. Great job. And my God, just get in. Get in.
That is a cunt hair from being in.
That's the second time it happened this season.
Yeah. What was the other game?
Like,
somewhere Champions League. I don't remember what.
And then just what unfolds here with Carnesecchi slapping it out just in time. Scramble, Thuram hits it right back into the mixer. It's bobbling all over the place. Nobody can get to it. It's frustrating, but there you go. stays level. We keep going. The funny thing was, on the back side of this play, Pasalic literally comes right back at us. And then he finds himself 1v1 with Locatelli.
Was close.
And Locatelli kept backing and backing. I'm like, dude, you got to stop backing at some point because you're going to just let him walk right in the 18. Thankfully, he did, and then stepped forward to the top, gave him an angle to curl around. He still came very close, but crazy, crazy start to the second half. 53rd minute. Brilliant goal. Long Beautiful. Ball forward. The touch from McKennie to settle that, trap that. Running on. Kalulu, like a bat out of hell, out of nowhere. Makes the run beyond. And then that is a classy little toe poke underneath Karnaseki short side. I'll take it. Beautiful goal, boys. 1-0 up. Let's go.
Beautiful goal. What did I tell you, Luca, during the match, after the goal?
About Kalulu not being a left back anymore, or right back?
That part of losing Bremer was also losing Kalulu as right back, which is not talked about enough. Because he is a very good fullback. And we know he has pace and he bursts up the field a lot and he has good ball control. He rarely loses it by dribbling. And kind of lost him, but that was a great finish. Left foot, right underneath the arm, short corner. I mean, beautiful.
It was, yeah.
We're going to talk about the outsides for sure a little bit later. So 1-0, what's going to happen? Is it going to be same old? Atalanta, they were pushing right back at us. We needed a clearance from Cope Miners. That thing was going for goal. 77th minute. Drop a little too much. Lose a little too much intensity. And stop the transitioning. Atalanta's not stupid. The second that they feel that, it's even more bodies forward. 77th minute, Derun crosses one, back post. Cambiasso doesn't even get up for it.
He barely jumped.
He doesn't even go up for it.
That was like Skanga jumping,
Yeah.
Useless.
It literally, it just doesn't even go up for it. Gatti, I'm starting to wonder if he wants to actually play goalkeeper and grab the gloves because he backs right up every time he's standing right next to Di Gregorio. It's just a shit show. And Savona tried his best. I saw people trying to, go at Savona, but I'm like, man,
not on him.
He's on his back. He's trying to watch that play. I go, good heads up by Retegi because he does show him the inside like he's going there. Savona was still in good position, but at the end, Retegi stuck in there, and that's a good header. That's a good goal from Retegi, but it's frustrating because it's avoidable from our end. Way too easy on the first header for Bellanova. Way too easy.
Feels like that with a lot of goals. And a lot of miscommunication in the back line. I don't think someone is actually taking responsibility and giving orders to everyone. And we've been used to having that all the time because Buffon didn't stop doing that. And I feel like there's lack of communication between the guys, and that's what leads to a lot of our goals, the goals we concede. And that was just another example. I mean, Cambiasso, you have to jump, at least interrupt him, even if you can't make it, because he just put it down into the area for anyone to grab it.
You know what? They hit 1-1, and I'm thinking, man, don't lose it. Don't lose it. It's one thing to draw, but do not lose it. And they came close. Zaniolo had a good opportunity when he came in, 83rd minute, cut in from the right. Di Gregorio kicking that one away. And then us, 90th minute, you've got to pass that over. You've got to have the wherewithal to understand that Imbangula's right there from Yildiz. And it's unfortunate because Yildiz had a really good game, in my opinion. Played a good game.
I don't think that ruined his game. I definitely think it didn't help. But the shot itself wasn't terrible. If there's anyone who wants taking that shot, it's still him. To be very frank, because he could put this away. But seeing the replays, looking at this image, you're like, holy shit, dude.
But even when you watch it, because I was when I saw it live, I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, because as a forward player, you're going to find yourself in this exact scenario many times where you're going to look selfish. That's just the nature of the beast playing up top. As a striker, as a winger, there's going to be moments where shit like this happens, right? So I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt when I watched it live, because I was like, well, Mbangula was running from behind him. Yildiz had the guy in tight. He maybe didn't realize if he was still thinking he was further back. But when you watch it build up again, and I saw it on the replay and everything, the pass comes from the inside. So if Yildiz looks to the inside where he was, and he accepts the ball coming through there, at that point, he should have realized what is right there, because he looked and accepted staring into that path. So that's a really, really tough one. It's a tough one. And I'm going to say, and no, it doesn't ruin his game, but it's moments like this that are the difference that we aren't finding at one end and we are losing at the other end. And it's a recipe for a lot of draws or struggles.
My point on this one would be, sorry, Omer, quickly.
Go ahead.
If this is Dusan, he's taking that shot. And fair point here is my thought. If you try to square that, you know, like, and I'm not sure which defender is there, like, tight on him. If that defender gets a foot on it and, you know, like, there we go, the play's lost and he missed the pass, people would still be on him for not taking the shot after. So I think it's just a question of looking back and saying, oh, he was open, why didn't you pass it? But in the moment, I think we're all yelling, shoot the damn ball, because it's like 95th minute and it's Yildiz. This guy had scored this exact angle versus Inter in like the dying minutes too. So you know what? I do think looking back, it could have been something else, and that's what really hurts. But you know, I do think it could have gone either way, and I'm not gonna dump on him. He's been so bright, so you know, it's hard.
No, he's been great. It doesn't ruin the performance he had. It just left you feeling that we could have come out with more in a difficult away pitch. Atalanta away, and we had the chance. And sometimes, you know, I wonder. Remember, like when we had Ronaldo, and guys had awesome opportunities where you would just shoot it, and they were looking to pass it to Ronaldo. So that's my question. If it's someone else there that's not Mbangula, maybe the pass goes to him. Maybe if it's Dusan. True, someone said in the chat, Mbangula should also ask for the ball. He should shout his lungs out, pass me the ball, pass the ball. Now, Yildiz have seen him, I guess. And it's a good quality to want to win the match.
I don't know if we know if he... I don't know. Do we know that he shouted for it or not? It's all...
I don't know.
It is what it is. At the end of the day, it's more about the moments that I want to speak to, because, again, it's moments at the top that we're not finding. It's moments at the back that we're losing. Yeah. And it's all a recipe for disaster. That's where the game ends. 1-1. And the thoughts on this are really quick and easy, everybody. Like, people don't need to go out there and write threads on this Atalanta Juventus match and all. It was a good performance. It's not bad to go out and get a draw in Bergamo, which over the past couple of years has been a very difficult place to play.
Oh yeah.
And they've beaten very good sides, winning the Europa. But it's the circumstances around where we're at that make it more frustrating than it really should be. And that's the truth. If we had better results up until now, this one we would be brushing off. But I feel like the frustrations are all just piling up and mounting up. It's not the end of the world result, but it's infuriating because it's another game where you are in a winning position, and that now tallies 14 points this season from winning position that we have given up. If you give me half of those points, the outlook on this team is completely different.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that's really all you have to say about this game. Better performance, but we still keep having the same problems. And that's the part that's annoying about it. But it was better. Yes, much better. What do you guys think, this game overall?
I do think it was a better game from Juve. I didn't think you were bad at all. I think if any team deserved to win here, it was probably Juve.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like you said, in the context that Juve is right now in the season, it's frustrating. If we had a few more wins, a draw at Bergamo to this current Atalanta, who are running rampant, then it's not that bad. It's just with all the draws we had this season, another one, and you can easily factor it in. And when we look back at the season as a whole, we won't remember it. We'll count the amount of draws, not the games we were supposed to win or were the better team. The question is it a sign going forward? Because I think that the tactics were fine. You were okay.
Yeah.
And question is if we revert back to what we've seen in the past 10 games afterwards against Milan, or do we move on forward and kind of start finding our feet?
I'm going to get into that. And there's a few things I want to talk about out of this performance because it wasn't all good. There was some things that were a little off and everything. But first, let's go through like just kind of a man of the match type thing. I think we do need to shine a light on one player specifically. But according to these ratings, your top 3 players out of this game were Locatelli, Nico Gonzalez, and Weston McKennie. Now, I'm going to ask you, fellas, for your top 3 coming out of the... Actually, sorry, it was Kalulu, McKennie, and Nico Gonzalez edging out Locatelli. My bad. Yeah. But, Luca, who were your top 3?
Oh, I mean, looking at the rating system, I'm actually pretty surprised. But for me, it was easily McKennie.
We don't pay attention to that rating system now.
Easily McKennie at the number 1 spot. Like, night and day. Kalulu had a very dominant game. He made 1 or 2 slip-ups, which I will not forget because it almost cost us the game near the end. But overall, very, very good. For me, 3rd place goes to our goaler because, I mean, I know that goal, there was a lot of people hounding Di Gregorio to save that. That's not on the goalie. I don't care who the hell you are. I will stand by my point and say that is not on the goalie. Maybe communication-wise, like Omer said, there's an argument. But on the save, hell no. That is a hard save to make. So for me,
I think
he kept this in my game.
Vision. I think Gatti blocked his vision and it's close range. He might have
possibly
didn't see it in time. And so for me, I think Kalulu and McKennie are kind of obvious. The 3rd one, I don't know. This was great. I really liked Locatelli and Thuram. They kept us in the match and they were everywhere blocking shots, snuffing out counterattacks. They were great. I mean, even Nico, I like the way he played and how much he put into the match. So kind of hard to choose. I think I'll give it to Locatelli. I thought it was very good. And so McKennie, Locatelli, Kalulu, those were my top performers. Savona needs a rest. Lucky that new Brazilian guy came in.
We'll talk on that for sure. Kalulu, McKennie, easy. McKennie's second half was absurd. McKennie's second half was arcade mode. It was crazy. The amount of ground he covered, the work rate, everything, it was crazy. And it was also his pass springing Kenan Yildiz in that 90th minute. That was the ball from McKennie.
He did not put a foot wrong in that second half.
Kalulu, McKennie, I'm probably going to give that 3rd spot. Yildiz had a good game. Locatelli and Thuram were almost equal for me in how solid both of these guys were.
Yeah.
And honestly, at times they were defending better than the CBs. As good as a game as Kalulu had, Locatelli and Thuram were ridiculous because the positioning in this game, while it was a good performance, I had some serious problems with the positioning. And I'll talk about it. Like,
we can get into that.
At the back, our center backs get split all the time. Left, right, and center. Locatelli, Thuram make up for it. They're saving us. But positionally, like, Gatti is lost almost. He has been on a weird run. I don't like that trend. Positionally speaking, offensively, it was also at times a little wild in the freedom. I like the freedom, but sometimes it's like it's too much almost. It's not terrible, but it's something we got to work on because everything plays a part in that. We were so rigid at one point, and this was like almost like the complete opposite. It's like everybody's freewheeling, and then you have a bit different of a scenario in finding chemistry or knowing where you guys are because we haven't really played in that manner. But I will say this. Savona does need to be pushed, does need to be challenged a bit. Offensively, you lose a lot. He takes so much to settle a ball that a lot of the times it's slowing down. I still think he's a good player. I still think he's a gem. And he's so young. He's got to grow, but my God, he's got to pick that. He's just got to have that little bit of extra and that little bit of drive to get forward, okay? In terms of everything else, I think this is no coincidence that our two probably best performances have come playing counterattacking and transition football. You can also argue that Leipzig was that way because it was. And it was a hell of a moment, hell of a comeback. And I'm telling you, if you're playing teams that don't mind attacking, this should be the method that we approach. When you're playing Venezia's and everything like that, it's going to be a different story. And we still have to figure out how to build up and hurt those teams. But I'm telling you, this team is better clamping down and then transitioning against teams that are willing to attack.
Look, and since it's the best way we have played the season, like our best games have been in that scenario, why not try and force other teams, even smaller teams, to do that? We can be solid at the back. Okay, that's what's working for us right now. We need points. I don't care about style of play right now. Make those teams come out. Make them feel brave. That's where Juve can hit. That's where our strengths apparently lie, because those were our best games. Let Venezia come forward. Let them push higher than they're used to and they're expecting against Juve. Because the other way around doesn't work. It just doesn't. Like the stats speak for themselves right now. Of course they won't do that. Of course
they won't.
Then we need to push, but the way I see it right now, I mean that's where I'm aiming.
I'm with you on that, but I don't see it happening.
It won't happen.
For the simple fact that we were just talking, our back line is like the three guys they're consistently there are just being burnt. I think it really is like they're putting in a lot of minutes. There's no competition, so they're not concerned. And to me, I think the lapses in focus is coming down to maybe it's communication, but I think it really is just like these guys are getting burnt out, and they're getting draws every second, third day. So it's taking a hit on their confidence more and more. So to make them go in a low block and make teams come wave after wave. I mean, we saw what that did to like even our best backlines, and that was draining. I don't think these guys have it in them to do the same. Like we already allow goals, shitty ones too, to these lower teams. If we take pressure from them, I think it's still going to be the same result with probably less goals on our end.
Yeah,
so
and my thing with this game is it's fine to clamp down, but this team is like watching a new driver try to figure out the sweet spot on a clutch driving standard. Seriously. Because you're trying to let off, right? And get into that sweet spot, but they can't find it. And they let off too much because the second that we stop transitioning with any type of threat after 1-0, that's what let them, Atalanta, really swarm. Against the lower sides, you're going to be hard-pressed to really get them to open up. You're going to end up controlling a good fair amount. This is not a strategy to apply to Venezia, Parma, Lecce, Cagliari, etc. But against the better sides, this brings out our better team performances. But you can't shut off so much like we have. So for Motta, game plan was spot on. I have no problems with Motta really in this game, aside from the let up, the intensity, the lack of transitioning when 1-0 to still push them, keep them honest. Don't allow them to get all those bodies up. But stop subbing certain guys. I didn't like Thuram coming off the pitch. That guy was breaking up so much. I hated that sub.
I'm with you on that one. Luis, I was okay with Luis coming in, but I would have said for Coop or for Nico, like take out one of the offensive guys. I know people are gonna get mad at me for saying, okay, we still need to attack, but taking out Thuram and even Luca, like I don't care if those guys have a leg left attached to their body, just one. Like that's better than most. Fagioli for 5 minutes is absolutely fucking useless. Sorry.
You didn't have the proper coverage when Thuram left.
Yep, that's a very
not a knock on Luis, but that's not for him. Like what the Thuram's job, and even Locatelli's for that matter, it doesn't get filled by anybody other than probably McKennie.
And look, I didn't feel bad after the game. I didn't feel like we were just hammered and we looked like nothing like the Stuttgart game or whatever. I only wish Coop and Yildiz would swap places, because Coop, we didn't bring him to run into open spaces and chase the ball. We knew he was kind of slow.
Yeah,
I want him doing the passes and Yildiz running onto those balls, not the other way around. So that's one of the changes I would have made, maybe at halftime, because he found himself like 3 or 4 occasions doing the same and just couldn't beat them for pace. So that's the real problem I saw with the tactics. The rest was fine. It was spot on.
It was interesting because in the first half, when we started out shape-wise, it was Nico to the left. Weston was sliding right behind Coop in the middle, right? Come second half, and I got to give props to Lex here because she was bringing it up in our chat. It actually switched because Yildiz went behind in the central role, and Coop actually went to the right, where Yildiz initially was. So I think he did try to change that, but because there's so much fluidity at some points, I mean, I think ultimately it just came down to Coop getting that last ball more than we expected. And for those people out there shitting on his pace, did you guys not watch him the last 3 seasons? He's not known for speed. I know it's depressing, and I know we pay it a lot for him, but people are like, oh, he's so slow. He's not Chico. He's not Nico. Like, I don't know what you guys were expecting. But he's slow. He's not that player. You know?
That's why positionally at the start it was very weird. We saw this before. We saw it against Milan the first time we played them. This McKennie Cope Miners top thing. This looked way better, but we had a different approach. We actually went forward against Milan and we played for the ball. We played completely different this game, and it actually looked better. Cope Miners. A lot of heat his way. What did you two think about his game?
I didn't think it was that bad. Again, he was in a position that absolutely didn't suit him. But he does have some things to improve. Like, he was late for a lot of passes. Just the defender got there like a second before him. So I figured that by the 4th, 5th time, he would anticipate that and drop a bit deeper earlier because he knows the pass was coming, but he didn't. But I didn't feel he was bad. Like, he had worse games in the past month. Needs to improve. I still expect a bit more, but when he sort of plays as the striker, I mean, that's not what we bought him for.
Yeah.
So
Luca, what was your take on his match?
I can't say more than what Omer has said. I mean, he was better than we've seen in some other games, but also not perfect. I still think his movement is, especially with guys like McKennie and Nico around him, he's, bar none, he really gets into good spots and he finds good passes. It's just, we all know he could do more. Like, I was really hoping against his former club he would turn it on, and he was very involved. And there's some points where I wish like it was somebody else, like a Nico in his spot, because it might have ended in a goal. But he is still a game changer when he wants to be. So that when there were points, where he's got a shot on net, I think he took one like maybe 2 feet wide of the post. I think it was the first half. I mean, I have no problem with him being there taking that shot. Like he's been in good spots, and it wasn't terrible. Definitely could be better though.
I think it was a little bit better than what we've seen, but still leaving us wanting a little more. But I also don't think that's the right spot for him. And I think we can all agree there. Substitution in this game should have been Cope Miners if you're taking somebody off in the middle. That's just my personal opinion. I would have never taken Locatelli or Thuram out protecting the 1-0. But yeah, it's frustrating stuff. In terms of the aftermath, Cope Miners wasn't the only one taking heat. Nico was. White crisis, he says. This is the right path. We fought and battled, and we hope to achieve the results we deserve by the end of the season. We don't like drawing matches, but we played a great game. People are livid at Nico saying this is loser mentality, etc. Saying he I don't know if there's something I missed because this is all I found, but they were saying that he basically said the draw was fine, that this was good. I don't really take that away from those words. Do you guys?
No.
No, we just said kind of the same in terms of the context of this season. It's not good. And if you just take that as what it is, just a match at Bergamo against one of the better teams in Italy and possibly Europe this season.
Yeah.
And it's not awful.
Yeah.
It's wild though. It's wild because if you would have said to me at the beginning of the year, we've got new players, you've got a new coach. Hey, Berto, you're going to be around 20 games in. You're going to be undefeated in the league. I would be fucking stoked and be like, yes, please. Yes, please. But fast forward to it, and it's 7 wins out of 20. And this is what happens. And now the fans are fired up, probably overanalyzing a lot. The players, they're feeling it. You could tell. Look at the body language. Kalulu winning the player of the match, didn't even give a shit. McKennie, them two standing there for the interview,
dead.
It hurts to see because this team is better than the results have shown. And I totally believe that. Mm-hmm. And it's why I get fired up about Malta. I get fired out about subs. I get fired up about these results because I truly believe we are far better than the results we have got. It's hitting this crazy point right now where these guys have to shake it off. They have to find a way to get over that hump. But for multiple reasons, they're just not doing it. And as time goes on, it almost gets worse. So if you're trying to snap this team, like we just talked about, from letting off too much, it's like this memory thing. It's like they just keep going back and back, and it's almost like they get so nervous, so scared about losing that lead that they just automatically drop way too far back, and then they just stop doing all the good things. And that's even tough for Malta to shake off in this group.
Yeah.
As hard as I am on him, it's still hard on him too, to get a team to snap out of that. But they have to find a way. They have to find a way.
Yeah, they do. By the way, what about that beautiful bicycle kick from Nico?
Yeah,
Nico.
Oh, I missed a bit. I missed a bit there.
Back to just revert back. Like, words can be very much taken out of context, especially in interviews. Like, we know some guys really suck at interviews. We've seen it. But in terms of Nico, like if we're gonna go back to that, I just look at his actions on the field. The guy plays his mind out at every moment, and he comes off that field exhausted, and he does not take, any lightness in his challenges. He's not perfect, like he's not punching people in the face to win fights yet, and he's not there. But I've had no issues with his performances on the pitch. He's always going direct to net. He's very fluid and very aggressive towards goals. So, I mean, if we're really going to start picking his words apart in an interview, look at his actions before you look at his words. To me, those always speak louder. I have no issues. I want to
get into some other words too. McKennie. Many roles. Asked about his many roles. He says it's normal. I will always place the team first. I'd rather play than not play. Even if it's at striker or defender, it's the same for me. The important thing is the team. And we have to win more. Because at Juventus, we must always be first or at least up at the top.
Good words.
Yeah.
Based on what I'm seeing on the pitch, what I'm hearing, this guy should have gotten the armband way before Coop.
Okay, so someone brought this up in the comments, and I think it was a Storm the Barn question. So we might as well hit it now. I don't disagree, but everyone's complaining now that we have too many captains, and it's all confusing. There's no leaders. This doesn't solve the problem.
You don't need to switch the armband 6 times in a season.
So this doesn't
I'm just
help
saying, Max showing me way more than a guy that got it, and I don't like that.
And
is there some favoritism there? Probably.
Yeah, I think that comes down to Mata. Obviously, he wanted Coop. He loves Coop. But I also, and I've spoken to this with you guys before, I see Coop more engaged on that field with the players. Like if you see him huddle with guys, they're all going to him. He's leading in a way that we don't necessarily always see. And I think that goes even for Di Gregorio, where I had no clue that he would even be up in that, assistant captain role. But there must be something we're not seeing in order for Mata to put that there. Like none of us thought about it with Gatti. None of us thought about it with Cambiaso. And we haven't been really proven wrong with those guys. But obviously Mata sees something we don't. So, I'm agreeing with you that I think there's more to it. But I definitely think that Max shows more on the pitch. That's not an argument I'm disagreeing with.
If we go to because everybody loves to be right. Everybody wants to be right. Everybody's like, you know what?
No.
Like all those people that said this and that about McKennie, guess what? It was a contract dispute. Okay? He wanted like 5. We ended up getting him for the number that we wanted to see, which is like 3.2 gross. Okay? But the number he wanted was 5. Is what he's bringing worth that? I would have to argue that maybe I was wrong. Maybe he's actually worth that amount to us.
No, I disagree.
No?
Because
Colt Miner's at 5'7".
No, maybe Coop Miners was the best.
Danilo's at 5'1".
Yeah, Coop Miners was the best midfielder in the league.
Milik's at 4'4".
What's Duzan
Dushan's at 22 gross.
What you're saying is correct now.
Douglas Luiz at 8'3".
Performances. Yeah, but what you're saying is correct now after his performances.
Exactly, that's context.
It wasn't right in the summer. He can ask for anything he wants, but an infinite was deserved at the time. Now, if he comes in and asks for a pay raise, he has a leg to stand on.
Right.
Highest assist getter last season. Playing out of position, playing all positions he was asked to.
Yeah.
He was?
Talking like a captain. All the majority of those assists came from right wing back.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I'm just saying maybe I was wrong. And maybe this guy actually is worth the 5 gross that he wanted. I'm just saying maybe I was wrong.
Wow. You guys hear that? Berto might be wrong. Someone record this. Skanga, where are you? Clip this right now.
It ain't the first time. It ain't going to be the last time. But I'm man enough to say I might have been wrong here.
Look, part of
props
the reason...
to McKennie. Good words.
props to McKennie. I always said I like the energy he brings to the team. I like his vibes in the locker room. It seems like everyone likes him. And part of the reason he's playing a lot is due to a lot of injuries.
Skanga. Okay. Now we get to more words, everybody. Mota. This I found interesting, and I'm surprised nobody was kind of like, what the fuck, this morning? Mota, Vlahovic, he's recovering, and hopefully he can recover for the next one. He has a problem with his back, and we have to be careful not to lose him for a longer period. So all of a sudden, you go from last week, this time, muscle fatigue, to now a week later, a back problem out of nowhere that so they kept that from us, or it's not true. Dude, that's weird.
Both could be right.
Both. Yeah,
remember what we said about transparencies with the injuries and what the hell are they doing? I don't know, because there's a lot of smoke around this guy has been capable of playing these past 3 matches, and it's all about pushing him out. So that's just the rumors. That's just what's going on, what's being said out there. But take it for whatever it is. That's weird. That's weird. Just going to say it. That's weird, boys.
Well, there's got to be a plus in this. We found out this morning that Milik is in fact still alive and walking.
There's been a Milik sighting. There has been a Milik sighting. All right. My God. Well, he is the welcome package. So naturally, Alberto Costa arrives and Milik's like, hey, let me show you around. I know this place very well, more than the
That's
employees.
My bench. That's my seat. Don't touch it.
Yeah. By the way, the snack packs. Excellent. You'll enjoy those. What the fuck? Come on.
I was sure he was cremated. I thought he was on the mantle in a nice urn looking across the room.
Yeah. Anyways, there has been a Milik sighting, but that whole thing with Vlahovic is bizarre. And I'm sure there's going to be Vlahovic ones in the Storm the Barn. I think the first one is about Dusan, and we're going to get into Storm the Barn now. Before we get into Storm the Barn, I don't really have a Storm the Barn, but I do want to discuss it because they came out and we got to take a look. So,
another picture.
Let's get it. Home kit 25-26. Rate this unit out of 10.
6.
Out of 10. Can I do it out of
25?
Double up the rating out of 5 and let's go.
Yeah, that's it, Omer. Do the math, man. Come on.
Okay. Yeah, it just feels harsh. 1 out of 5 is okay. Jesus. 1 out of 10 feels
1
harsh.
out of 5 is not okay.
No, I'm kidding. It's not okay, and I'm kidding.
6.5. W, 7 out of 10.
I need to see it on the pitch.
Player. Yeah.
Because if you don't see the logo at all, which is my probably main concern, then it's fine. If you're seeing only black and white stripes when they're playing, okay.
I hate the badge that you don't even see it. Why wouldn't you have more black there just so at least our badge shows?
Outline the pink and black, a little trim around it, so you still get some pink. Booth.
I don't like the fact that you can barely see the Juventus logo. I don't. Yeah. The rest of it, I'm actually okay with. It's not terrible. The really skinny lines are kind of weird. It's I don't know. Is the jersey the actual barcode they scan when you purchase it? Is that what they're going for? I don't know, but it's not the worst, right? And it's still better than the half and half that we got in the 2020. So,
yeah,
4 out of 10 maybe from me. 4.5. I'm in that range. But check out this little ditty.
Just waiting for it. If that's a 4, what the hell is this?
Wow, the away kit.
The away, not the third, right?
Away,
this is
not
the away.
Third. Correct.
Yeah, I don't mind it that much. Let's give it a 5.
It's an away kit, so I can't score it as harsh as the home. This is where most clubs or most brands, they take a little liberty artistically. So for me, I've seen it on a player, and it's not terrible. just a lot of blue. I'm going to give this one a 6.
I think this is a piece of shit. Seriously, like, it's ugly as hell. This is a goalie kit or a training kit. Like, I'm giving this, like, this makes the yellow this year look amazing, which isn't as bad as, you know, it got hit. This is like a, if the home kit, which is better than this, I gave a 4.5. This is probably going to be like a 2.
It does look like our goalkeeper kit right now, actually.
This is a goal as a goalkeeper kit, sure, but this is.
So
I mean,
and look at the patterns on it. It looks like something off Rugrats, like the cartoon show or something. Like, I don't know what's going on in there with the little beach wave thing. It's not. Can I
give the insight from Adidas that was told was the concept art for this?
The floor is yours.
The words they said were this was supposed to envelop and display Italian summer. That was their mindset with this design. Don't ask me how, what, where, when. That's all I was told.
The birds don't like it.
The birds agree.
They think this is shit.
Hey! Not responding. They lost all faith. They don't listen to me anymore.
And Forza Juve says that is the craziest statement ever, that the yellow kit is much worse than this. I don't think so. I really don't. I'd take the yellow one over this all day. All day. You know, but the birds, they're fired up. They don't like this crap.
Fired up.
You know what? I'm with them. But that was kind of my Storm the Barn. Not really Storm the Barn, but we'll just talk about the kits. We love the kit talk.
The third kit is going to be good, guys. I can promise you that, and Bert could agree with me.
Third kit? Yeah, the retro logo stick, right? And it's all dark.
Retro logo.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Beautiful.
I think that the orange one was like the worst one I've seen.
Oh, 100%.
That's the worst. So it's not the worst we got even in recent years.
Which one did you say is the worst?
The orange from Pirlo.
The orange one from the Pirlo season. That was probably the worst one we've seen.
But you know what's funny? Whenever that thing is on, it gets the most reactions, and it's most talked about, like, as streetwear. Like, if I'm out wearing it or something, people are like, man, what is that? Like, what team is that? Whatever. And they're like, man, that shirt's crazy. And I'm like, really? It's like, I'll sell it to you right now. Let's go.
The only good thing about that, it gives you something to wear on Halloween that doesn't make you look like a douche. So it's pretty good, style to pull off.
Really? The only thing that doesn't make you
suspect to get run over on the road, though, because you might think you're already a smashed pumpkin laying on the pavement. That thing. All right, Storm the Barn.
It kind of looks like someone puked his pumpkin on you.
If we get 50 million for Dusan, would you sell him in January? I would do it to bring in Lorenzo Luca and Henko and still keep Fagioli. In the summer, we could offload Milik and go for Dusan's actual replacement. So basically 50 million right now, January, to sell
him.
No.
Good luck offloading Milik.
Look, I know we just brought in Colomwani now, but he's still not a lock. He's on a dry loan. So that essentially leaves us with nothing come summer. So
well, it gets you by to the summer to then act, right? So the thought is Colomwani now coming in. Guys, don't bank on Milik. So you're just going from one guy to one guy. So exactly. You still don't have really any depth or anything. But are we in a position to pass down 50 at this point in time if it shows up right now in January?
That's tough, yeah.
Like, I'm failing to see someone paying more than that.
That's
right now. Based on like his performances and what you were going through, like if he really picks it up in the remainder of the season, then maybe.
But he hasn't been bad. Like, he's still our top goal scorer, is he not?
He started dropping off in the past month, like very visibly, like something happened. He can't complete a 5-yard pass right now. It wasn't the case like 2 months ago.
That's true. That Milan game was bad.
Yeah. So to Skanga's question, how much amortization right now? Because he's got one more year on the contract, so it's 22, and then you have because 80 was what 80 on a 4.5.
We got him
because it was 20. Was it the January in 21?
Yeah, it was first year of Max.
That's right. So January of 21. So you got roughly around 80 on a 4 year. So there's a little over. It's like, call it close to 30 with this guy. But
for me, it's not even that. It's his salary that is insane.
Well, yeah, they want to get that off the books for the annual cost for sure, but it's gonna be hard for them to pass up an offer that's there.
Can we highlight Eric's comment, please? The double bubble and the belly button lens sent me.
It's hard. It's hard not to take an offer like that. I don't know if you're gonna see anything better, and the way things are trending too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
tough though.
What can we bring in for 50 million? That's the question.
That's the main question. It's going to be the same thing we talked about when we lost De Ligt. Like, who do we bring in? Like, Bremer was I think one of the best deals this club has ever made.
At half the price.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, where are we going to find a striker? Like, with 50 nowadays, it doesn't get you much. It's going to get you someone maybe young and upcoming, but it's not getting you someone reliable.
My first choice, like George here, is Chesko. If he's available for 50, go for it. Sell Dusan, bring him in. I'll take that deal all day, any day. Osimhen, Napoli wouldn't sell him to us. They have a Juve clause.
Guys, get the likes up. With Dusan, it's tough. I think, honestly, it's going to be hard to pass up if an offer actually does come in. Keep it rolling with Storm the Barnes. Will we go undefeated in Serie A this season? I say yes, and we will finish 4th. I think we'll have a loss. There'll be a loss in there.
Yep, it's coming. It's going to be a stupid one too.
Yeah, I mean, we flirted with disaster way too much to truly not suffer a defeat. I think we will.
Yeah, that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
We won't go undefeated the entire season.
No,
if it happens though.
Good God, that's a record.
Drink it giveaway.
Here we go.
We'll do something if it happens. Guys. George, we'll remember this. Okay.
Another giveaway.
What was the game plan? We were so random on the pitch. It looked like all the players got a small different part of the plan and everyone was doing their own thing, especially the first half. This, I think, is kind of speaking to what I was saying about positionally being like all over the place. Seemingly like they were kind of freewheeling. It was better second half. It felt a little more honed in, but I don't know. I think maybe it's just to get if you're going to play a transition game, it doesn't necessarily make sense to be so rigid in a transition game. Like, I mean, it makes sense for the guys to have a little bit more freedom, those attackers. But I don't think the game plan was, I think, as far as shut down first and then attack them, I think that's the right approach in that Atalanta game.
Yeah, it was mainly defensive, but that's Atalanta's bread and butter. When you give them space, they'll hurt you. So we limited their space. We didn't give them a whole lot of room to run. We did on a couple of occasions, and we almost conceded. So that was mainly the plan. And playing counter-attacking football is not really a tactic or a game plan. It's something that happens in the spur of the moment. So I wouldn't say you had any attacking game plan, but definitely a defensive one.
Yeah, I do want to follow up.
Funny enough, we created the most.
We did create that's where I'm going.
It was the right game to do that,
and we moved the ball. Like, it was okay. There were points. The first 20 minutes, we couldn't string a pass together to save our lives. It was pretty freaking shit. But once we built into that game, there were a good couple of sequences where we got a shot on net that came from a nice 1-2. Coming from the back through the middle, then wide, and then back towards top of the box. And some of them were, non-lethal shots, but nonetheless, there were some ideas there yesterday. And honestly, I think the shape and what I saw yesterday in the movement of our players I did see some sort of an idea formation-wise. Now, what the idea is going forward and what the game plan is afterwards, I don't know what Motta's telling them, but you do see, and I spoke to this yesterday, you do see an idea. Cambiaso slides towards the middle. Kalulu was going towards the left. Luca was holding between both our center backs and dispersing that ball. And then Thuram was keeping, the middle with Cambiaso. And then whatever happened up front, I don't know. But shape-wise, there was an idea there. And this reminds me of what we did earlier in the season. So this goes back to what Omer said. Having Kalulu on that wing, much more wide, benefited us, again, yesterday. So I think, and I spoke to this within our chat, Cambiaso being back and being able to slide to that middle, it does give us a lot more from Kalulu. And I think there's things there that are in process of getting better and better. If Cambiaso could wake up on, certain headers in the 78th minute, that'd be great. But I think there's some ideas there. They're not perfect, but it's not like we're going to a game like, hey, good luck, guys. No, obviously we don't know the game plan. We can't read it. We're not in the locker room. Yeah. But I think there's something there.
Let's try and machine gun some of these. Heading towards 4 more draws in the month of January, ? We should beat Milan. I want to win against Milan. So I'm going to go with absolutely no more draws. Let's start getting some wins here. That's a game you could build off at least.
Mm-hmm.
Do you change the approach? The first time we played Milan, we battled for that ball, wanted possession. Do you maybe approach it the same way? I'll ask that question or ahead of that game. Would you play it the same way as we just did against Atalanta?
Same lineup too, I would say.
Yeah. Like I've yet to get a grip on Conceição's tactics and how Milan approach games.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of,
that was his first game, like against us.
Yeah, it was like thrown under the bus. So we went super basic, 4-4-2, as easy as it comes, and it obviously worked because it did win it. But they were not lucky, but they almost didn't win yesterday.
They got lucky against us.
It's not perfect. They're not rampant.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, they were good against Inter, and Conceição did give us a lot of trouble, even when he was coaching Porto. He's a smart coach. He's a more veteran and experienced coach. He will approach the game in a way that's benefiting Milan and his players now that he has a bit more time. But I can't point out what it is. Like what's the way Milan are playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right. Forza Juve, do you think that January could be a blessing in disguise? We have been playing much better against big teams this season, and this month of fixtures might actually be what gets a team rolling. There's been multiple moments where we could get things rolling.
Torino.
Maybe this is it, hopefully. But it's up for them to show us. Like I said, could, should, like these words in football mean sweet fuck all.
They suck.
Could and should. They got to show us. They got to show us.
Is it worse than the word project?
Project is a terrible word. Terrible word.
Both are awful.
You know how bad it's gone? It's gotten to the point where yesterday I had somebody telling me we should be celebrating this draw. I said, I do not celebrate draws. Simple as that.
Unless it follows up with us winning in penalty shots.
Or it's the second match of the Champions League.
I do not celebrate draws. It's crazy. And just, again, project that they've thrown out a million times, management, who, by the way, 2 out of those guys are complete temps. Panda Bear there, Ferrara and Scanavino there. Project. It's Juve. You got half your players realizing they're at Juve, half of them that aren't. This bullshit about project, it's the same shit. You've got financial issues, yeah, you got to clear that up, but you still got to compete. And you got to compete, period, because you need the money. It's not really this project or anything. It's Juve just working. This is their job. It's their job to be competitive, to build competitive sides always, no matter what. The finances make it more challenging, but it doesn't make it all of a sudden this project where we have to stick with something for 2-3 years. No, like there is objectives. Period. Use the word objectives, not project. There is a 3-year objective. But step 1 is this year and top 4. Objectives. Period.
My biggest fear, like what I don't want to happen, very close to it, is breaking the draws record for a single season. And I think it's Inter's from 2012 or 2011, I can't remember.
Of course not.
And I think they're standing at 16. I think that's like the most. We're at 13. We're not far off. I hope we break
It's
that
going to
record.
happen.
Guys, seriously, 14 points dropped from winning positions is disgusting in 20 games.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Absolutely.
disgusting.
So it's for us, that is subpar.
That's crazy. Now,
All right.
keep it rolling.
Next.
Since Weston is probably
here we
our
go.
most consistent performer, should he be made the cap? Well, we kind of spoke to him and
We spoke
captaincy
to
and
him.
everything. I just simply said, I'm not calling him for captain now. I'm just saying, if you're going to give it to Cope, Max ahead of him. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, so I'm just fixing what I said because they fixed me in the chat. They corrected me in the chat. It's Milan from 1992 with 17. So we got one more
Jesus
game.
Christ.
Excuse me for the wrong stat.
It's okay. You were close.
Close enough.
Whatever, one piece of shit to another. Inter Milan. Hey, buddy. Thanks for the support. Drop a like. Napoli will sit back and counter. So will Bruges and Benfica. How will Juve combat that? Yeah, imagine a game where they both don't even start at kickoff and they're just both sitting there waiting. Somebody's going to have to take the lead.
You take it. No, you take it. No,
Malta's gonna, that is Malta's game. Malta wants to be in possession. That's why I say that's what's frustrating. Our best games, still to this day, the most cohesive we've looked, have been in a game plan that is not his main go-to or his philosophy or how he wants to play. So
Which is scary.
He's got to figure it out. He's got to figure it out. Period. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. See what Colomuani can add to that.
Yeah.
Colo comes in.
Costa.
I'm pretty sure we should let the front four be Mbangula, Yildiz, Nico, and Colomuani at the top. Agreed? Go.
I don't know yet.
think we should. I mean, yeah, I'm with Omar. We don't know, but I don't think we should be playing with this formation anymore. That's my thought.
Like, if Chico is available, then no.
Yeah, that's a
Then
good
that's
point.
a no. And Bangula should be a rotational player and not a starter.
Not a starter.
And so if everyone is healthy, I mean, Wea, what happened to Wea? Why didn't he play yesterday?
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't come in yesterday. That was.
Like the guys on the bench, the guys on the field some of them were exhausted, and we have to play Milan in like 3 days.
And he's got pace. I'm surprised he didn't come in.
Yeah, it could have been useful. I don't know why.
Cavalry's got to come in. Colomuani, there was a couple sequences in the first half yesterday. I was saying, man, if you had the pace, guy was gone. Guy was gone. So
we'll see.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed he makes an impact. As far as the back line, it's getting a little sketchy here, everybody. For your front line, though, to answer this question, I like that. I like that setup. I'd be fine with it. Absolutely fine with it. But
I'd be fine with it.
Chico's got to get in there ahead of Nico for me.
You got to start Nico and Chico. That would be insane.
My main one would probably still have Yildiz slide over to the left, Chico on the right, Nico at the 10 with Colomuani up top.
Now
that's probably how I would shape it up.
That's fluidity.
And that would be something I'd like to see. So let's see.
Find out next week if we get to see that.
So the back line, we talked about it. Henko, we're apparently sweetening the pot. I don't know how.
With a honey pot.
Yeah.
If you know what that is.
Araujo probably used Juve. Like I said, now going to get his extension at Barca. The Martinez injury might have changed everything there. But Tomori, we're apparently pushing for Tomori. Monblano says Delict. I'm not buying it. But for the sake of the Storm the Barn, would you?
I mean, on a loan with no obligation? Maybe. Yeah. I wouldn't say no.
Omer, would you bring him back?
I think I would. I don't hate him. Yeah, he's obviously not the defender everyone thought he would grow up to be. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't mind it.
It would be good business.
Of course, depending on the money aspect and everything.
Devil's always in the details.
Yeah.
Always in the details.
It's United, so.
God, that guy really pissed me off. But
it was the post interviews. That's it. Playing wise, he was fine. It was the stupid interviews. The guy didn't shut up.
I'm not completely closed off to it. That's all. Let me see some details. And let's hear it from somebody other than Monblano.
Honestly, it's Monblano. What are we even taking? What are we fucking
talking about? Has anyone heard from credible sources that Chico remaining is in doubt and he may choose to move, maybe to Milan and Papa? Okay, so here's the thing.
No.
All we've heard and all anybody knows is that Juve 100% wants to purchase him and wants to buy him out with the clause. So far, you've only heard one interview from Chico, and you've heard multiple reports that he's happy. Happy right now. Where we finish could probably change things. But right now, it's hearsay from my uncle's friend, my mom's cousin, that's all it is, that it's not potentially going to happen. That's all it is right now at this point. So we just got to wait and see. I think he's going to have teams interested. That release clause is super low.
If we don't make top four,
if we don't make Champions League,
he's gone.
I wouldn't bank that he's automatically just going to stay with us. Mm-hmm. So just got to think about it, everybody. Top four matters. Top four matters. Big time. Is Mota still safe if we draw and lose in the next two?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, wait. Yeah. Safe this, right now, or safe by summer?
No, is he safe? Right now. They're talking right now.
Yeah, I don't think he gets fired midseason. I'm adamant that doesn't happen. It's not like
I say it happens only if top four becomes
mathematically,
scary. Not completely gone.
Ooh.
If it becomes scary to reach top four because they've already banked on the money. That's it.
Good point.
And this overestimating the doom of not making Champions League. I don't think so.
Nobody,
not when you look at the numbers. No, my friend. Minus 200, high costs all across the board. Losing 70 million in revenue, and Club World Cup only responsible for 23 million, not 50 that everybody was banking on.
Really not much.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. It's gonna be same old because we're not operating clean still. You're still in the hole. If we were operating clean, I would totally be like, you know what? Yeah, it's not the end of the world. The fact is, we're not. And you're still trying to come from behind. So it's going to have a big effect. Absolutely no overestimation on that one. I'd love to be wrong, but I don't see it because they present you with all the financial numbers all the time, and we've seen them. Unless I'm missing something, or unless we're going for another bond, which I don't see happening or coming in. I don't know. Eric says, what kind of attacker would work with Mota? Someone who is a true 9 or a player like Raspadori? I feel like Raspadori, like Nico does, makes his team better. What do you guys think?
I mean, Raspadori, I'm not a huge fan of his. I think just like Fortezi, he's a bit overrated, maybe at the moment. But Raspadori type player. I mean, I think we should have both.
Yeah.
Like one that's giving you that option and the other who gives you a different option. Because we obviously need it. Yesterday, I don't think we needed a big number 9 up front. We needed something different. So depends on the match. I would love to have two, but still, I would lean towards the number 9. Like if we can only get one, depending on the name, but I would lean toward the number 9.
Huh. Luca?
I think Omar nailed that. I believe the 9, if I had to choose, would be the one, like a stone cold, solid. Like when we were tied to Füllkrug, I was kind of excited because that's literally what he does. And it gives you really a point of reference up front and to really bounce off. But the fluidity that Nico brought, it really does make what he wants happen much better. I think it's much more fluid up front. So having both would be the exceptional option. But if I had to pick one, it definitely would be the 9 because I mean we have Nico, so we don't really need another. It's very similar. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd like to have both, but a certain true 9 with a little bit more technically probably goes a further way for him. But it all has to come together. We haven't really seen something remain the same for too long. Like, I would like to see a 9 play in there with the kind of freedom that the playmakers had yesterday as well.
That would have been nice.
Just to see. But we haven't. So that's kind of one of those things. It's difficult. Games, so I think we should always have both options available, period, no matter who the guy is. Tal saying, let's say we clinch top 4. We keep this disjointed style of play while doing it. What are your opinions on Malta if that's the case?
That it's the first season, and let's see if it improves in the next one. If we make top 4.
Yeah, so, I mean, is this a question for next season? Like, if we're still playing like this next season, but we made the top 4, like...
No, finishing in the top 4 after playing this season the same way.
I don't care if we play like garbage the rest of the year. If we make top 4, good. He hit his objective. Move on to next year, and we'll see. Like he's not gone for me if he makes top 4. Like his spot is pretty solidified. I don't care again if we play like garbage. Year 1, you can't really start tearing things apart if the objectives are met. Like yes, there's going to be a lot of heat on him, a lot of pressure, a lot of discussion. That's fine, but if we played like garbage.
If we played the majority of our games like we did yesterday, I'd feel a lot better at this point in time.
That's a good point.
Around Malta. But it hasn't been the case. Reaching top 4 should give them a season where we could maybe clean up some of the depth issues and just see. Let's erase some of the question marks and then get them there, okay? In terms of the disjointed play, like I've got issues with Malta right now. I really do. I think substitutions are disjointed. I think a lot of the play, like I still stand firm that his main style of play has not succeeded for us. It hasn't. So the best games are still playing the way we did before, which was clamp down and counters. So if that's his main go-to, make it work, man. So I would say he absolutely has to go for me if you don't reach top 4. I'm not even questioning it. You make top 4, you've gotten yourself to the point. If we see some progress too, absolutely. I have no issues. Let's bolster the team. Let's get some more depth in. You've hit the first objective. Let's move into the second season. Hope for better. Get Bremer back. Erase the question marks. But my God, top 4, like, I'm sorry. Top 4 is a must. If it doesn't happen,
that's the key here.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he hits top 4, even if it's disjointed, if we start seeing more of the performances like we did yesterday, I'll feel better. I'll feel better about it. So it's tricky. It's like I said, 20 games, undefeated. You want to feel a certain way, but the reality is that there's a lot of question marks around this guy, and there's a lot of doubt because 7 wins out of 20 games just ain't cutting it. When you associate your name close to a record of Del Neri, it ain't going to be rainbows and butterflies, and people will bring up doubts. The other thing is, for those people that are also like, you know, like I'm looking at it like pretty nervous about top 4, but I ultimately believe we'll get in there. 14 points from winning positions also shows you that making a comment like we're so fucking close to being much different scenario and story around this team, it also tells you that we're right in the middle. Yeah, we're close to some serious doom and gloom, but we're also close to feeling like the project should. And I hate saying project, but there it is. Whatever the fuck you want to call Mota's first year, okay? We're not, you know, it's 14 after yesterday. It was 12 before yesterday, Skanga. Did you forget we just drew? That's 2 points lost. See you later, banana head. Now,
he's old. It's okay.
It's not far from being a completely different storyline. So we do have to keep that in the back of our minds. And like I said, these games, they're critical. Atalanta, Milan, Napoli, they're not going to tell the story. He's not going to be canned immediately after these 3 because top 4 won't be in jeopardy no matter how they go. That's it. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. Do we got something in the news?
I saw something, but it's Milan related. Oh, since we're playing them, obviously.
No, Hanka's name and Tomori's name started surfacing again after Araujo's deal was.
Yeah, no, we spoke about that. It's more
down.
like it's something new that just came up.
Yeah.
All right.
One thought I had yesterday is how important was it for Juve to sign Bremer to keep the balance in the league? Because if it would have gone the way they wanted it and Inter would have signed him, that would have been lights out. They have solidified their defense with him and Bastoni, and that's light out even for the balance in the league. So I had that thought yesterday. Yeah, thank God it didn't work out. Because they're already doing great without him, and he is the best defender in the league for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have another controversial opinion,
hold on a sec because Skanga is just really failing here. Okay?
What's happening?
Yes, you have shown me 6 matches. 6 times 2 is 12.
It's still going.
Can you now add the 7th of Atalanta that we just played yesterday? Earth to Skanga. 7 times 2 equals 14. Skanga is too busy defending Dusan to get the math right. Oh, amazing. Get that guy.
Be careful when you say that.
Oh my goodness, this is painful. Okay,
get him on the call. Let's go.
let's get it rocking, guys. Oh my God, we had to point that out. Omer,
yeah, we got
fire again, buddy. Sorry.
Wait, if they have more Storm the Bond, then do them because it's not that Juve related. Football related.
We're just gonna fire like 3, rattle off 3 quick ones, real quick.
Go.
Champions League qualification is not top 4, but top 5. If we get that coefficient, unless every Italian team shits the bed in Europe. True. Okay? But again,
I forgot about that.
It's not a given yet. We're sitting 3rd in coefficients as it stands, I believe. I could be wrong. Could be wrong there. But congratulations. I mean, I don't know. Like, let's still win some fucking games and like get into top 4, make it a certainty. But 2nd in coefficient. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. How about a double attack, Yildiz and Kolo? Oh, interesting.
Well, the issue with like double attack right now is that the midfield is so important in today's game that most teams have basically given up on the striker role. And if you have someone in attack, then you probably have to give something up in midfield. And look, we are playing with like sort of a 4-4-2 the way Coop is playing. not working that great, I gotta tell you. I think the third midfielder is super important in today's game.
Yep.
Even Atalanta play with two midfielders, and we managed to cut them open more than once yesterday.
Yeah, but their tactics are weird.
I think the bigger, like I've been saying it for a while. I think yesterday we saw because Yield is occupied everywhere.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is the freedom for those guys. Get them moving around the pitch. Let them find the space. Omer, how many times have I heard you say, simple, create space, attack space. That's the game.
It just doesn't happen.
Give these guys the freedom. Let them move around. It doesn't have to be labeled as a front two, but it could end up creating that with multiple guys. Nico, Yildiz.
The way I would do that is in a diamond system. And then where we're playing with like the three midfielders and then one above them, then it might work out. Place whoever you want, wherever you want, but then you have the option. But that leaves you with like Yildiz, Chico, and maybe now Kolomwani, Dushan, Milik, all battling for two spots. Not even mentioning Bangula, Yildiz. I mean, that we have too many players for two spots in attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have a lot of mids and a lot of talented mids that I think we should be using more.
Were you guys surprised how good it looked against Atalanta? I think Juventus was the better team, but expected Atalanta to dominate. I think I was, maybe a little bit surprised, not overly surprised. I think the game plan was right. We called that's the way to play them. I was not surprised he chose that. So, I don't know, kind of, but not really. I don't know.
Again,
it's good. It was a good performance. It's a shame.
Yeah.
Who are some early candidates for manager? I don't even want to get into that because
this is a tough one because
right now
there's no
right now it ain't pretty. So yeah,
we can throw out names like Klopp
and that's the
Zidane,
problem.
but that's not,
and that's another problem, and why we need him to start getting these wins and not start flirting with disaster. Because right now, people are talking about Mancini. They're talking about Asari return. I'm like, neither one of those really does anything for me. De Zerbi, no.
God, sorry, sorry.
Sorry, no.
It's Klopp or bust.
Can new signings play in the January Champions League matches? I looked this up before and I brought it up on a live. Yes, I think you're allowed to make 3 additions to your squad list.
There was a rule that players who played for one team in the Champions League can play for the other one. But I think they scrapped that. I think that now
I remember that rule.
Yeah, you can play. You can bring in 3. I believe the magic number is 3 signings that could immediately jump onto your Champions League roster. So there you go. And as far as Kolo Muani goes, the deal's done. They're speeding things up. He's trying to get in here, and they're trying to get him ready for Milan. How big of an impact do you think this is the one deal we've got done other than Alberto Costa. How do you think Kolo Muani will do? Because the deal is dry loan. We pick up the remaining salary at like 3.4, something like that, which is the remainder from half a season. And then there's no option. There's no obligation, period. Like, the deal alone, I like because there's no commitment.
Yep.
It could also be bad if he does hit it big and we do want to keep him because then they can just set a price. There's nothing agreed upon. But I think the key for us was to stay away from the commitment, the way things are going. So I like the pickup, dry loan, take his salary. It is what it is. But how well do you think he will do?
Well, first of all, you take half his salary because 6 months have passed.
3.4 is half his salary.
Yeah, it is half.
That's for the remainder of the season. If we do sign him, then that's like 9 million gross, I think. And that's a different story. He'll have to do a lot to prove that he's worth that. But if he'll have a good time, then he'll want to stay here and maybe as lower as demands. Maybe. And honestly, like, he hasn't played too much, and I haven't watched enough Paris Saint-Germain to tell you what he is. I did see him at Frankfurt. He was very good at Frankfurt for one season.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of don't know what to expect. I know what his physical attributes are. that is fast, that is tall, that is strong, but how is that going to correlate with everyone? That's a huge question mark for me.
Yeah. Luca?
I mean, Omar spoke to the physical, and God knows I don't watch PSG, but I think the biggest part here is just having some sort of competition in that role. I didn't care if it would have been like a sack of water, to quote Skanga, like putting some pressure on Dusan, having someone a little bit different. I mean, already Nico was offering something that we didn't have. And I mean, if this takes some pressure off Nico too and gives him some more rest rather than always playing him from the start, shit, I'm all for it. Like just that he's pacey and large and can hold himself in a battle, that's already pluses for me. So
I got serious question marks. I mean, the fact that you're in the French league and you're on PSG and you're not really, doing much is a little bit concerning. But I'll tell you, if you're going to take a flyer on somebody, let it be a dry loan for 6 months. And he's better than absolutely nobody who is exactly who he's replacing right now. He's coming in for nobody. So, yeah, it will help in that sense because January, you don't build in January. You bring in bodies. You look for some support and some help. But it's not one to like completely slouch at or anything like that. But, yeah, it's a safety net until the summer. It is what it is, but let's see how he does. Yeah. And will he get in for Milan? Let's wait and see. We're going to cover all the news in the build-up to that match on the weekend. This one was a frustrating one, but at least some positives in terms of the performance and everything. We'll get Mota back on the sideline. Probably a good thing because Hugo, his assistant, apparently doesn't even have a tongue. I didn't see him calling for anything. He barely stepped away from the bench and got into the trainers area. Let's get Mota back on the sidelines. Let's get a victory against Milan and then hopefully start moving forward. And we'll see if this daunting January schedule was in fact a blessing in disguise. Let's see. I had a great time, as always. Omer, Luca, absolute pleasure.
The video.
Yeah. A lot of points dropped from winning positions. Got to stop that. Goals conceded from our own fuck-ups. Got to scrap it. But the guys are fighting. I know there's a lot of rumblings out there, and you're going to hear a lot of shit. But I don't think these guys are at the point where anybody's lost anybody or they've given up, etc. I still see a lot of fighting there. I think that the feelings I have, that I believe they are better than what we are getting for results, I believe that they feel that and they know that too. And hopefully the guys in charge are reiterating that to them because they need that belief. They need to pick things up. And I don't want to see Mac and Kalulu, after performances like that, kind of hanging their heads so low and whatever. Like, you guys deserve more out of that one. It sucks. But keep your heads held high and let's go take it to Milan on the weekend. Let's see, everybody. No matter what, we'll be there and we'll see what happens. Fino alla fine. Forza Juventus. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join our AJC army. And for all of you that were gifted memberships, reach out. Let's plug you into the chat. Ciao tutti. Enjoy the rest of your weeks. We'll talk to you real soon.